Welcome to the GenX Pole Arts podcast, Fit, Fierce, and Fearless. I am Zen, also known as Nancy Adzentovich, the founder of GenX Pole Arts. I am happy to be launching this podcast where we are going to be celebrating the strength, resilience, and potential of women over 40 in the vibrant world of pole dance. I'm excited to embark on this empowering journey with you guys. And each week, we will connect with inspiring women who are redefining what it means to thrive in their 40s and beyond. From incredible stories of personal transformation to tips on building strength and confidence, we'll explore the boundless possibilities that pole dancing offers for self-expression and empowerment. Whether you're a seasoned dancer or just curious about the journey, there's a place for you here. So grab a cup of coffee, a sparkling water, whatever turns you on, and get comfortable. Let's celebrate the incredible power of women who are embracing their passions and pushing boundaries at every age. And don't forget to subscribe and join our community on social media and sign up for the 15-day pole dance challenge if you haven't done so already. All right, now let's dive into today's episode. Hello, and welcome to episode 6 of Fit, Fierce, and Fearless. You know me, I am Zen, and I am joined today by the amazing Firebird, who is a pole sister of mine. We started polling, I think, around the same time. She is an instructor. She's a brilliant soul and a sultry, slinky performer. And I really think you're going to enjoy getting to know her today. I will let you introduce yourself, Firebird.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me to talk,
Thank
talk,
you for
talk.
being on the show. You're so busy, and I really appreciate you finding time to do this. So thank you.
I have to just say that I love your background for those watching on video. They get to see your beautiful pole shoes. Yes. And my beautiful Montserrat cuttings.
It's beautiful. Your plants are gorgeous. I look like I'm in a closet, but actually this is my room. Like this is just what my bedroom looks like. It's all my shoes and costumes and
Are
props.
those red thigh-high boots over to your side?
They are.
I'm telling
And
you
black
what.
ones and purple ones.
Okay, it's worth dancing just for the shoes. Don't you agree?
Seriously. It's expensive, but it's so worth it. They're gorgeous.
I just cleaned out the back of my little tiny car, and I have like 12 pairs of shoes, including boots back there. There's no room for anything else.
I was
It's
gonna say, how
just
does it even
pole
fit in
gear.
that little car?
I know. Well, thank you again. And I am so glad to be here. And you wanted me to share a little bit about my background, right?
Sure, that would be great. Yeah.
I want to start by saying that I am 50 years old now, and I'm very proud of that. I can finally say flying over 50. I started
Mhm.
pole dancing when I was 46 and a half. And so I'm coming up on my 4-year anniversary, April 10th. I walked into that studio, the secret pole dance studio, my home away from home. It has since become my home away from home. And I walked in and I was so scared. I was like a little deer. And I met my pole mom by chance. I was assigned a private with the gorgeous Tamia, and she really was so warm and welcoming. I was too scared to take a class. So I signed up for a private, and she just opened the door for me to discover this beautiful art form. And I'm so thankful because, to be honest, I had always wanted to be an exotic dancer. I had always felt very sultry in my soul, but that's not something that I would outwardly express. And so I'd always wanted to do it. And, the pandemic hit, and I thought, now or never. I did wait to get vaccinated in March of 2021, and then I walked into the studio, and I really just never looked back. I remember when I started, I asked the owner, Diamond, I said, "Can I bring my toothbrush? Can I bring my pillow? Can I move in?" And I was serious, and she thought I was crazy, and I was like, "No, no, no, take all my money. Like, yeah, let me bring my wardrobe. Let me move in." And yeah,
Right.
everyone was just so nice, and the community, the instructors, and I truly just have never looked back. I love it so much. It is the joy of my life.
I know that is something that I've heard you say for a long time, that it
Yeah.
is the joy of your life. And I
Yes,
feel like that just comes from such a real place within you.
it
I love
does.
it.
It just checks all the boxes. Like I was talking about at the beginning, we have the amazing wardrobe, we have the
Mhm,
music, we have the
mhm,
outfits, we
mhm.
have the shoes, we have the community. It's just so fun.
Yeah. It's funny that you say you took the private with Tamia first instead of taking a class because Dee did the same thing. So I spoke with Dee on a previous episode, and that's exactly what she said. She was too shy to just go to a
Yeah.
class because she booked a private and she did it. And then same thing, right? Same reaction. Here she is now, all these years later. Like it's such an integral part of everything in her life. Um,
Yes. I didn't actually know that about you. I'm so glad. I'm so glad you're doing this
yeah.
podcast. And I agree. Yes, Tamia asked me, "What would you like to work on?" And I just shrugged my shoulders and I threw up my hands and I was like, I don't really know. This is my first time." And after a couple of private, she said, I'm happy for you to continue seeing me, but you got to get your ass to class. Can I say
I
that?
love it.
Ass. You got to get your ass to class. So I went to class and I remember being in Jillian Gemini's class and I was so nervous. She said to freestyle, and I just held on to my pole, which I think is really common. It's a really common
Mhm.
reaction. I didn't have a lot of dance vocabulary at the time, and I just, I was just sort of staring in awe at the other dancers, like, how
Like,
are
what's
they
a
doing this?
freestyle, right? Like,
Yeah.
what do you mean?
And now it's become what I love. And I think you love that too. I just
Yes.
want to freestyle. I just really want someone to turn the music on. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter if it's slow music or fast music, what kind of
Mhm,
music. It could be classical music. It could
mhm.
it could be ratchet, it could be country.
Yeah,
And I just want to dance slowly. I will dance freestyle as slow as possible to any music.
and that's become your signature style. Like, everybody knows you for that. People flock to your classes to learn how to do that. It's true, but
Yeah.
it's so there's a couple interesting things that just came up for me while I was listening to you. One, you mentioned a few of the teachers who we started with, Tamia, Gemini, and I think of also Ariel and Mocha, and I think about how young these women are or were at the time. And for in my experience, and I'd love to hear your thoughts too, they were so like, I never felt like an age gap. I never was made to feel like I was this 49-year-old woman and here's like a 22 or 20-year-old, right? Teaching me. They carried themselves with such confidence and authority and also were very openly supportive and welcoming that I just felt I had complete trust in everything that they told me to do. I just did it. Like I never felt like they babied me or coddled me because I was older than them or older than most pole dancers. Like it just seemed natural or right. I don't know. And I think now you're an instructor. I am an instructor. You know, I don't know if there are more older types of instructors today than there were then, or if it's just where we happen to be at the moment. But yeah, I don't know, like, what was your experience working with these beautifully talented young women? I mean, their confidence and strength really inspired me.
Absolutely. You're spot on. They were so welcoming and so knowledgeable. Many of them had grown up dancing from a very, very early age in,
Mhm,
traditional studios and had so much body awareness and just a lot of personable skills, to welcome you to create a warm, safe environment. It's a very
mhm.
vulnerable thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, several of us maybe took a moment to walk into a studio in the first place and started
Mhm.
with privates rather than in class because I know for myself, I thought, oh gosh, I'm probably so behind given that I'm decades older. But no, not at all. I think that they really encouraged us and embraced us and just, thought that we belonged there just as much as anyone else. And that's what I've come to love. I actually think that there are a lot of instructors of all ages, a lot of
Mhm.
students of all ages. a lot of styles, right? And
Mhm.
so there's something for everyone. But I'm really, really appreciative of those people I came into contact with at the get go because I wouldn't have stayed, I don't think, even though I yearned for this outlet in my life and this sensual expression, I don't think I would have stayed if it hadn't been for those early instructors and the students I met along the way. I mean, we became such a tribe.
Yeah. Still.
Yeah, exactly. We're still not just going to classes together, but going to events together, hanging out outside the studio, sharing
Mhm.
one another's homes, going on retreats together. It's a lifestyle. I do want to shout out extra special to my pole mom, Tamia, who also goes by Gemini now. There's two Geminis we've been
Oh,
talking
right,
about,
right. Yeah.
and she is half my age. So
Right. Crazy.
yeah, and yeah, I know that I will never it sounds harsh to say this, but I say it with a lot of love and compassion for myself. I will never be a trickster at the level in which, of course they can perform. Maybe if I challenge myself a little bit more than I do. But I love to dance, and so I haven't trained tricks as much because I like the low flow and the floor work dance style.
Mhm.
But nonetheless, I'm so inspired by them, and I do think that I try things that I wouldn't, or I've tried things that I wouldn't have tried because of them.
Yeah, I love that. It's beautiful to have a mentor who is so junior to you, you know?
Yeah.
Grow in my professional life, right? I always looked for mentors who were older because that's where the experience and the wisdom came from in corporate, right? But
Right.
in the instance of the arts, I feel like what you said, these women grew up as dancers from a very young age. So their body awareness, their understanding of musicality, they just have so much innate wisdom when it comes to kinetics and movement and the artistry and the technique of the tricks. It was so easy to just allow them to mentor me. Whereas I would
Mm.
have never in my corporate brain, in my corporate world, have looked, to a junior person as a mentor. Sure, I always have felt like I could learn from, my teams who reported into me, and I think innovation comes from that, but not for guidance, like whole
Yes.
guidance. So I think that's a beautiful part of the pole dance world that I really never thought about until just now, till our conversation.
Yes.
That at any age you can inspire somebody. You could be, a 16, 17-year-old pole dancer inspiring somebody in their 30s, 40s, 50s.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I felt so held by them.
Mhm.
And I also want to say that they said a lot, they taught a lot about connection
Mhm.
to others and to audience in
Mhm.
those early months and the first year or two of me dancing. And for me, pole dance is actually a very personal expression. I do love to perform. We could totally talk about that. I love to perform. I love to slink and slither around for others. But I feel as if it's a very personal experience, and they really helped me get out of my shell and
Mm.
think about that connection to either other dancers, within the studio, outside the studio, and with audience. And that's been invaluable. And it's something that I really try to pass along to those I teach. It's the outward expression of the movement holistically with eyes, with your fingers, with your heart, body,
Yeah.
legs.
Yeah. And I wonder if that's part of what contributes to the strength of the community that we have as dancers, because we do show up in the studio and in our performances in that way where we are striving for connection and we're putting ourselves out there through all of our senses and one another, amongst each other.
Yeah,
And so it just creates that bond.
it
Like,
elevates.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But, I don't think that. necessarily all instructors focus on that, and that's fine. There's so many things to focus on, but I'm
Mhm,
particularly thankful that those early experiences I had, that was a focus because it's really transformed, I think, how I move
mhm.
and and I receive a lot from others when I'm in the studio and, whether they're other students or, like I said, an audience for a performance, I feel like I receive much more than I give as a dancer. So I so appreciate it. Yeah.
That's beautiful. When you talk about performing in freestyle, you do so beautifully. Somebody commented the other day that you move like you don't have bones. And I thought that was so accurate. And if you all wanna see Firebird's style, you can check out her Instagram. Her handle's in the show notes. So please feel free to follow her and just be amazed by her artistry. But can you talk maybe about how you bring that everything you just described into your freestyle? Like, what's your process or what goes through your mind, if anything,
Mm,
when you're
mm.
freestyling?
First of all, I want to thank whoever shared that comment. I don't actually feel like I'm all that flexible, but I do feel like I have some command, some presence when I move, and I am working on my flexibility and mobility finally. And I remember talking to a friend last week, and she did tell me that I moved like I'm a human lava lamp.
I
So I
love
take that as a huge compliment. I'm very slow, very slow. I probably talk fast, but I do everything else very slowly. My process is really to enjoy the music and enjoy the moment. It's not too profound. It's really being present and just allowing myself to get carried away. I really like a flow. And I,
Mhm.
I really believe that doing very little can speak volumes. Something that was discussed at the workshop this weekend by Josie Moon, was that it actually doesn't take all that much movement to entice and captivate and enthrall.
Mm.
Sometimes less is more, just the way that maybe I stand up or I approach the pole or walk or toss my hair, that kind of thing. Those elements are really important to me. They may seem minor to some dancers, it might not be that captivating to them, but to me personally, I really relish in that. And I want to encourage any student, any any dancer, any mover who feels called to that kind of subtlety to explore it because it's really fulfilling to me. It really shows that I'm in my joy. And I always liken it to a dinner party. If if everything's going wrong at a dinner party but the host is having a blast, then everybody at the party has a blast.
Yeah,
And I feel that way about my dancing. Yes, maybe I'm being very subtle, maybe I'm being very, quiet in my movement. But if I look like I'm having fun, then my hope is that everyone else will enjoy it.
right. I love that. When you think about being an instructor, so you've shared some nuggets already from an instructor's point of view and from a student's point of view, what are the important things to convey to new dancers or even just people who are curious about pole dancing? Because many people who listen to this haven't started pole dancing. They're just kind of intrigued by it and curious. Being an instructor at 50 years old and becoming an instructor in your late 40s, what would you share with older women who are curious and maybe thinking about getting started? And and then a caveat, I guess, or add on to that. Could you talk a little bit about becoming an instructor at that
Hmm.
age? Did you expect
Yes.
to did you see that in your life plan, in your career trajectory to become a pole or a dance instructor?
Yes. Happy to answer those questions. You may have to remind me. So
Well,
for all the
whatever. I kind
starting
of
out,
rambled, so
yeah,
just answer whatever
start,
you remember.
starting with those who are pole curious, I just really welcome anyone who has curiosity to act on it and just to show up as you are. You are enough, and where you start does not define you. You have many opportunities ahead of you to express and experience movement meet all kinds of different people. If at first you're not connecting with the student's studio instructor, there are many options in many places around the world now. Even some of the smallest towns have multiple studios, which
True.
is so exciting. We're so fortunate. Thank you to all the studio owners out there. I know it is really hard to own a studio. And yeah, so I would just say come as you are, be open minded, and it's okay if it feels awkward and silly at first. That's totally fine. Maybe it feels so juicy and delicious and like home. But if it doesn't, that's okay. Give it another try and give yourself time and space to explore. Yeah, just keep enjoying yourself. It's hard work. It's physically hard, but the hope is that emotionally it's really fulfilling
Mm.
and yeah, it's totally worth it. So I like to create a very comfortable experience, a very safe environment for people to experiment a lot. I
Mhm.
do believe that the way that you become a dancer and express the movement that's within your body is just to move like your body wants to move. So, although I do teach a choreo class, you've probably noticed I allow a lot of time for freestyle. And I
Mhm.
also encourage people that the choreo is just a guideline, even in terms of the counts. I want
Mm.
people to connect with the music, right? They're going to hear different things in the music that pulls out the movement from them. And so I like to create a lot of openness. That can be hard for new dancers. So I do teach at the advanced beginner and up level because obviously when you're a new dancer, choreo classes are critical to help you create that dance vocabulary, that movement
Yeah.
vocabulary. But then over time, what I hear from most dancers is they just want to dance how their body wants to dance now that they have some moves under their belt and they want to experiment with what different moves feel like and
Mhm.
tweaking them, adjusting them, that kind of thing. So that's a little bit about welcoming students and then also my philosophy for teaching. It's really just not to stand in the way. And this is how I felt as a manager, director in corporate America as well. My job is not to stand in the way of the magic. My job is to let the magic unfold.
Love it.
Yeah. And then in terms of becoming an instructor, yes, it's something that I very much wanted to do and have had to be very intentional about continuing my experience as a student. I would say first and foremost, I am still a student because I
Mm.
did start instructing fairly early on. And I really, really want to thank my home pole studio owner for that opportunity. It's like she read my mind. Like I said, I pretty much asked her if I could move into the studio and I was pretty much recording every day and posting it because I know she loves that. And, but I loved it too. I was like, look at me, look what I'm doing. And yes, so I felt very fortunate that she reached out and nurtured that in me. And I love it. I get so excited. I teach a choreo class on Monday and a baby tricks class on Tuesdays. And it's such a wonderful way I get excited to
Mm.
turn those lights on. I like to create a vibe, a very clubby vibe. I get excited to turn those lights on. I get excited to put that music on the speaker sound system. And yeah, but I've had to make sure that I continue growing and challenging myself as a
Yeah.
student, taking classes and, especially I love workshops. I don't know if you feel this way, but I just
Mm.
love to have a couple of hours
Yeah.
with other students and with either local instructors. We're so lucky in the Los Angeles area, we have masterful instructors as
Mhm.
well as all the traveling instructors who come through the Los Angeles area,
Yep.
and that's something that's really special. I think last year I want to say I took like 6 or 8 stops, and that was so fulfilling. I learned so much, and then I can carry that. And I always try to give credit, when I then carry some of those nuggets into my teaching, I try to give credit and let them know, like, I picked this up from so and so. I picked this, other thing
Yeah.
up from this other person. So, yeah, I would say teaching has been so fulfilling. I've had to be intentional about being consistent and being really just putting myself out there as a student to being very open. And there was something else that I was going to say about teaching. I guess I just want to thank my students. They bring so much. I learned so much from my students. And this is something to me I always used to say about us. She had such a loyal following. She has since
Mhm.
moved from Los Angeles to Atlanta, and we miss her. I miss her every day. But she used to say, that the students bring her so much life and so much inspiration, and that's how I feel. I'm just in awe. Sometimes I'll be trying to remind students of the choreo while I'm watching them dance, but I'll get so lost in their movement that I can't even speak. I'm just in awe, right? Of just seeing that magic unfold.
Oh,
Okay, have I
I
answered those questions?
Yeah, you answered and more. So I
Okay.
would love to put Tamia's Instagram in the show notes as well so that y'all
Yes.
can see who we're talking about. She teaches in the Atlanta area now, I think, right?
Yes,
She's still in Atlanta.
yes, she's
So
at Secret Garden in
Secret
the
Garden
Atlanta
in Atlanta.
area.
So if anybody's in that southeastern zone, please look her up if you're curious. Another thing I want to mention is the workshop thing. I love it too. I love really spending a chunk of time with an instructor specializing on one thing. I mean,
Yes,
focusing in on their specialty, right? So all of these traveling instructors who come in and hold workshops, they're famous for something about their style, their technique, or what have you. And that's what they focus on. And it's that immersive, intense learning environment for me is so helpful. Like, I feel like I grow from a 2 hour workshop. It's different than going into a 1 hour class and doing 10 minutes of warm up, doing a choreo, doing some freestyle. It's just a different way of learning. And I really
yes.
appreciate it. This year, we will be doing a couple of GenX Pole Arts workshops in
Yeah.
different. I'm not asking you to commit, Michelle, but I would, or Firebird, excuse me. Um, I would love to have
Government
you.
government name has come out when we talk about business.
I would love to have you, be part of that and instruct for women who are just curious about getting
Yes.
started. And I don't really plan to do it in the LA area because there are so many opportunities here. So a little bit outside of LA
Yeah.
where there aren't as many studios and class offerings for people who are curious. So stay tuned for that. And
Thank
then
you
one
for
other.
doing that. I want to say thank you for doing that. I think that's so important, and that
Mhm.
you're willing to put yourself out there and travel to different locations, like you said, that may not have as many workshop opportunities. And you're so right that couple of hours or sometimes even, a half day extensive, those are so fulfilling.
Yeah.
And it's a different bond and experience than
Mhm.
class. Class is just, I love class. But you're right, workshops are really wonderful. So thanks for doing that. And I would be happy to. I actually led an embodied connection mini workshop at the retreat this past weekend. And I'm always happy to do that. It kind of calls forth the connection that you can find in your dance friends.
Absolutely. That embodiment, that reconnection with yourself, getting out of your head into your body. And that's something else I wanted to bring up. Thinking about all the things you just said, you mentioned a few times being present and being intentional.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yes.
my pole name is Zen because I believe that it's a moving meditation. And I think that the intentionality and the present moment awareness that I experience when I am dancing, even
Mm,
doing tricks, because when you're doing something that is dangerous, you get present real quick. Because if you're
yeah.
not, that's when, accidents happen. And you
Yeah.
really have to, it's almost like your survival instinct kicks in when you're going upside down and you are zeroed in on what is happening in that moment. And that's a beautiful feeling that I don't find in many other areas of my life, in the day-to-day
Mm-hmm.
life. It's hard to be so present for an extended period of time and intentional with what you're doing with that present moment awareness.
Yeah.
And that is a gift. And I think maybe I talked about this with Shay. And the retreat that Firebird is talking about is the one that Shay and I spoke about 2 episodes ago. So it happened this past weekend.
Yes. I want to
Yeah.
thank Shay and Shamika at It'd be a Chakra
Yes.
and Josie. They hosted that, and it was phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm going to do a follow-up episode with Shay to talk about how it went and her experience. Yeah. So I'm
Great.
excited. Excited to hear all about it. But yeah, so I just wanted to bring up the intentionality and the presence because probably in any dance, right? You would come across that gymnastics, intense sporting kind of competition. It's the same type of experience, but there's something additional about pole because it is that fluidity, the artistry piece that isn't present in sports necessarily.
Yeah, I did grow up dancing and also doing gymnastics, and I remember how much focus it took. I remember being, I want to say 10 or 11 years old and being at the end of a mat in one of my floor routines and having to pause to focus myself. I still
Mm,
remember that. And I do feel it now. I feel the amount of focus that it takes, the amount of um, intention and clarity it takes to dance for me, be sensual, elegant, so strong, climb the pole, go upside down, then be on the floor, then do some low flow.
mhm,
It takes a lot.
mhm,
Yeah. And I don't think that doing just dance or doing just gymnastics was as fulfilling to me
mhm,
as now being able to express both acrobatic and dance elements through pole dance. And I read an article a couple of years ago about how pole dance is so healthy for you because of the change in directions, because of the climbing, because of being upside down, because of spinning, all of those things. And then obviously listening to music and expressing with music. There's a wonderful article that came out, and maybe we can link that in the show notes as well,
mhm.
about all the elements that are required for pole dance and how healthy it is for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you check out the genxpolearts.com website and look for the blog, there's a bunch of blog posts that reference
Right.
that article and lots of different studies on aging and the benefits of different types of movement and specifically pole dance and dance for all of the things that Firebird just mentioned. It's incredible, the benefits to memory, to coordination, mobility, mood, antidepressant to move your body. Like it literally triggers hormones to be released within your body when you move, and it's therapeutic in
Yeah.
so many ways.
Oh, it is my therapy going into the studio. Whew, it
Where
is
I'm going to see
just,
you in like 2 hours.
I know we have rehearsal in a few hours. I'm so excited. We get to perform together this weekend. Yeah.
I'm so excited for that too. We didn't even talk about performing. Yes, this weekend, our home studio, the Secret Pole Dance Studio in Los Angeles, has our showcase. We do a showcase 2 or 3 times a year. This one is a group showcase where many of the instructors get groups of dancers together and they choreograph a group piece. And then between the group pieces, there are solos. Usually the instructors will do a solo, the ones who don't have groups. And it's so much fun. The studio sells tickets. It's always sold out. This one was sold out, so they added a second show, which also sold out. People come, they have a great time. They actually throw money at the dancers, which is thrilling if you've never had that experience before. You're like, "What? They actually like what I'm doing and they're giving me money? This
I have
is
to
so
say, I
great."
always love, and Diamond, the owner, knows this about me. I love to help pick up the money. I love to be a little pole kitten and get down crawling on the floor, sweeping up all the money and giving it to the dancers. It's one
That's
of
so
my
fun.
favorite
It is
things.
fun.
Yeah.
So it's a whole experience to perform is just the culmination of all of your hard work, and it's a celebration. It's like a party, and
Yes.
you are the entertainment and also the guest of honor, you know?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. I was just getting my ones ready for this weekend, actually, counting them out, ready to throw some money. I bought a ticket so I can see one of the shows. No, I'm also
Yay.
performing It'll be so much fun. And that's a great way. Rehearsals are a really wonderful way to get to know your fellow students too. And that's another thing,
True.
all levels are welcome in this showcase, and I love that. So we will see dancers who have just been dancing for a few months, but who put themselves out there, who
Mhm.
signed up for one of the beginner routines, who got together with their other newbie dancers, right, and committed to this. And that's something that's so exciting. And then we'll see all the way to, very elite dancers who have like contortion backgrounds and can do absolutely magical tricks. So I
Mhm.
love that it's all levels. And I would encourage anyone who has that opportunity at their studio, wherever they may be, to sign up for a showcase and, really, really commit to growth in that way.
Yeah, I went to a showcase last night at Pole, which is a different studio in Los
Yes.
Angeles, and it's the same. Every studio showcase is so much fun because you do see performers who are from beginner to super professional people who tour with like musical artists and dance on television and shows and perform in Las Vegas, and everybody is equally celebrated. And
Yes.
it just feels so great to be a part of that.
I have to tell
And
you, my mom came to one.
oh,
So
yeah.
my like 73-year-old mom came to one a couple of summers ago, and you know, was really actually amazing to have her there supporting me. My parents are very supportive, which is it's very cute to say that even at 50, I love the support of my parents.
Of course.
But yeah, I was bummed I missed there were a couple showcases in LA this weekend that I
There were
missed
like
from being
3 or
out of
4 this
town.
weekend. Yeah, there were so many. I
Yeah.
couldn't go to them all because they were at the same time, so
Yeah. Yeah,
unfortunately,
there were some Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I was out of town at the self-love pole retreat, so
yeah,
I couldn't make
Katie's
it, but I
also
celebrated some of my dance friends were in those different showcases or attending, and I felt like I was there in spirit, or I knew people, other students who were performing, and
mhm.
I always feel the spirit of that. And I wanna say I'm so glad. Quickly, I wanted to shout out to Christina Kauf too, because I got to go to her comedy pole show last Wednesday where you performed
I
in the
did.
pre-show, and that was really exciting. So I was glad to catch that before I left on the self-love pole retreat, but
Thank you
sad
for
to miss
coming.
those other showcases.
Yeah, thank you for coming. It was a very fun performance. It was a Valentine's Day show. I performed to Marilyn Monroe's rendition of I Want to Be Loved by You. And I did a little Marilyn-esque kind of character, and I made my own costume. So you can see that on my Instagram, a little snippet of video that Firebird actually recorded for me.
I love to
Um,
record.
yes, she's a very good recorder. If you're ever in a class with her, ask her to video you. But I also want to say there's a lot of you who are part of or follow the GenX Pole Arts Instagram account. And I know you're doing showcases right now too. And sometimes you tag me or tag GenX. And I love that. So if you are performing or doing a showcase, put it in your story. And if you tag GenX Pole Arts, I will share it in the GenX Pole Arts story too and help you get even more notoriety and get you
Ah,
out there in front of more
yay.
people. I really, really enjoyed doing that and just helping to build our community and make it even stronger.
That's awesome that you do that. I love that you're doing this. It's really wonderful, and I think it encourages people to step out of their comfort zone, knowing that there are others of us,
Right.
other people who started as corporate moms, cited like we have something to share in this world, and we're going to do it. We have something to express, and we're going to do it. We're going to stand up for ourselves.
And I think those are the best parting words we could ask for, what you just said.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
it's just so true. Um, Thank you for being here. Let's do it
It's my
again. We have
pleasure.
lots of things we
Yes.
could actually talk about, but we can wrap it up for today. I
That's
know you
great.
have a
I could
lot of
talk for hours. I know
I
you're
know.
going to go to class and then we've got rehearsal. So
Yeah.
I'm so thankful to have been here. And yeah, we'll have to check in sometime about pole dancing as moms of twins.
Yeah, so Firebird and I both have twins. I have twin boys, Firebird has twin girls, and they're around the same age. So we've got lots to share about that. All right. I love you for being here. And I can't wait to see you later and perform with you this weekend. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you, Firebird, for being here. Remember to follow her on Instagram and leave comments or questions right here in the streamer, and we will answer them. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you for joining me on this episode of Fit, Fierce, and Fearless, powered by GenX Pole Arts. I hope you feel inspired by the incredible stories of strength and resilience that we shared today. Remember, it's never too late to embrace your potential and unleash your passion. If you enjoyed this episode, please, I would appreciate it if you would take a moment to subscribe, rate, and leave me a review. Your support really helps me to continue to uplift and empower women over 40 in our pole dance community and beyond. Don't forget to connect with me on social media for more inspiration and updates. I'd love to hear your stories and share in your journey. So until next time, keep dancing, keep shining, and remember that your strength knows no age.